Okay. We're going again? Okay. I don't know. Should I say my real name or should we go by the stupid names?
That's up to you.
I'm Pigpen.
I'm Dookie.
Okay.
Wait a minute. When did you start recording?
About the time you were talking about your pornographic Star Trek.
What the heck?
No, no,
There's language in that.
no. I waited till you were finished with your weird kink fetish fantasy thing there and started recording.
Okay, good. I was about to say there is non podcast friendly language in that conversation.
Yeah, not for this podcast anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, but we got a lot of comments about the bouncer, not just
The
bouncer.
bouncer.
Yeah,
The bouncies. I mean, the bouncer.
it's Scott McGee. Time, but it was on the 12-inch single for Four Little Diamonds. Yeah, it was recorded for Time, but it wasn't released until Four Little Diamonds, and we're going in release order, so that's why it's coming out at the very end of the Secret Messages episodes, because it came out in Four Little Diamonds. It was the last single released in England, I think, or something like that. But yeah. Anyway.
Mark Jealous says to hopefully bring back the dueling to hopefully bring the dueling Erics back closer again. I'd like to say I agree with both of you. Yes, EPJ, I really like the song, a good rocker, which is what Jeff was after. And I agree with you too, EW. I prefer when Time Stood Still. It's perhaps my favorite E.L.O. B-side. So back to Brotherhood now, gentlemen. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts on Balance of Power. Honest. Well, you're going to be hearing our thoughts on that coming up soon, and I think you might be a little bit surprised because I think both of us were a little bit surprised going through it again too.
No spoilers, but yeah. And if we have Brotherhood, then it's boring. We need to attract listeners, which is why we need to fight, which is, well, that'll be coming up later. Jack Brown. Great song and great episode. Got the song on picture disc with the quiz in late 1983. You lucky pup. I'd love to have that.
What was it that they won? I can't remember.
I think they won a gold copy of the album, Secret Messages.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, and that got sold on eBay at some time in the late 90s?
Something like that. I think to buy his son a drum kit. And he better have gotten a hell of a drum kit for selling a gold E.L.O. album.
Hopefully he got one of Bevan's old drum kits.
Yeah.
Here you go, son.
Mm-hmm.
G. Brewer says, I have to say that I initially agreed with Eric W. regarding Bouncer. The sound of the song did not inspire me to take on additional listening. I found it grungy and rough. But now, after hearing the song's lyrics, I am intrigued and want to give it a few more listens. Thanks, guys, for providing some new perspective. I look forward to the next episode. P.S. I hope afterwards it is not going to be all trash talk about Balance of Power. I felt lucky to have another E.L.O. album to enjoy, but I will reserve comment until the appropriate time.
Well, we'll see how much trash talking Balance of Power gets soon, next week.
Well, yep, and I can say that you are not like Bouncer. You are not grungy and rough and irritating and get everywhere.
Yeah.
Guess which movie I had to see again recently for a review.
Muppets Take Manhattan.
That would have been better.
Oh.
That does not have Aiden Christensen.
Mike Hudson. Was this one on the release of Time that had bonus tracks? Julie, When Time. I can never remember. Of course I have it on Afterglow. It's a decent song. I wouldn't trade it for any song that actually appeared on the original Time album, though. I don't know, so I had to look it up. And yes, it's on the Time special edition that had the bonus tracks, the B-sides, Julian, When Time Stood Still, and on Afterglow.
Jim Cal says, are you going to cover Hello, My Old Friend or Mandalay? They are on the extra for Secret Messages. Hello is pretty cool and full of production cleverness that begets Jeff. Great podcast and haven't missed one. So cute and fun to have Madeline on the show. It's fun to hear how she's grown. Thanks much, fellow Johnny B fan.
Ah, cool. Another loon. This is Jonathan Brandmeier. It's a big radio deal to me anyway. And yeah, thank you for listening and for and listening to every episode. Can't help but notice that you haven't gone to Patreon yet and given us any money.
Maybe like us and not have any.
Yeah, that's entirely possible. I would not doubt that. So, yeah. Are we going to get to Hello, My Old Friend in Mandalay? Yes. After Balance of Power. We're going in release order, and those didn't come out until 1990, even though they were recorded in 1983. So just when we make it through Balance of Power, I believe Hello, My Old Friend is the first one we get to when we hit Afterglow. So we'll get there. Corey Gomel. Obviously, time was not a dream, at least not in my movie treatment, and not according to the bouncer. Now let's talk about EPJ's dreams. You dream of an exotic record collection. I too have had many E.L.O. dreams, but mine all focus on meetings with Jeff Lynne, either backstage or at dinner. I've even argued in a car with him over where we were going to dinner. He wanted to go to an Indian restaurant. Dot, not feather. I don't know if I can say that without some sort of backlash.
Yeah.
We'll just move right along here.
Yes.
I was driving and said, we are going Italian. But your dreams are nice too. And as for Eric Winsenson, words, words, words. How about a little scarecrow? If I could just retire, I would be co-hosting with EPJ, and you'd be writing these very insightful comments. And by the sounds of it, the roles would reverse as EPJ has hinted at his lack of appreciation of upcoming albums, and my love for many songs on Balance, Zoom, Alone, and Nowhere, and Longwave. Would have me as the new EPJ and EPJ as the new Eric Winsenson, which means, logically speaking, that Eric Winsenson would then be running Jeff Lynne's Blue World. That's some Freaky Friday sugar right there. I think I'm going to keep Winsenson as an introvert. I've gotten used to doing it with him, and I don't want to try and figure out someone else's quirks and timing and all that other stuff. And so I think I'll just stick with Eric because, I'm used to him.
Even though there's benefits in it for me, since suddenly I'm a rich lawyer.
Oh yeah.
Except
No,
I'd be over giving Patreon money to some residents podcast, unfortunately. But
yeah, in this whole scenario, I seem to get screwed. You get to be rich. I'm still poor, living in an apartment that's just barely bigger than a bread box. All my Legos and stuff in storage, but you become the rich. We got to figure some other way to get around that.
I'm cool with it.
Okay, I'm sure you are.
Except for having to sit through law classes, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I could not.
Even though I did consider copyright law at one point, but because believe it or not, yeah, the one part of law that actually excites me is probably one of the most boring parts of law anybody could ever think about. But
I'm kind of wishing you did. We certainly would have a lot of use for you if, suddenly you get some sort of notice somewhere.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, then you could hire me as your. Hey, that's where I come in. I'd be the one representing you against Jeff's lawyers.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something in my head that thinks, do I want Eric Winsenson representing me in any way?
Or using the words pro bono in my presence?
Pro bono. Yeah, I'd be giggling in court, so I don't know how well any of that would work.
Eric Johnson, you've been told 3 times. Control yourself.
Hey, the wife will tell you I can't control myself, even after the 3rd time.
Contempt.
There you go. Okay, moving on.
MJ Folds, I look forward to listening to this. The Bouncer is one of my favorite E.L.O. songs. Makes me so happy. Need that at the moment.
Well, I hope you were still happy after listening to it. Probably happy with me. Stephen St. John had a lot to say, which is cool.
Huh?
Once more, I want to tell you how much I enjoy your podcasts. This one, like all the rest, is top notch. Oh, thank you very much. As for my as for my first comment on The Bouncer, I want to address Eric W. The title The Bouncer refers to the protagonist of the album. He bounced from 1981 to 2095, and as this song indicates, he's about to bounce back to 1981. Granted, this makes it only the second time he has bounced, but the album seems to indicate that no one else has ever been bounced through time before. Yeah, actually, after we finished that episode, I kind of thought, well, maybe the bouncer means bouncing around through time. Maybe that's the name in the late 21st century they give to time travelers. They call them bouncers.
It is a good way of thinking about it. That yeah, I'll let you read the rest of it there first before I
Yeah,
get into it.
yeah. Years ago, after I purchased the Afterglow set, I made my own cut of the Time album by placing Julie Don't Live Here Anymore, When Time Stood Still, and The Bouncer, where I thought they should go in the track lineup. I placed The Bouncer between 21st Century Man and Hold On Tight. After listening to it a number of times, I suddenly noticed something. Play 21st Century Man. And The Bouncer back to back. Now play them again. Did you notice it? They sound basically the same. 21st Century Man flows almost perfectly into The Bouncer. Listen again. I'll have to do that at some point. I didn't get a chance to do it before we started this. Originally, I thought that The Bouncer was the original take version of 21st Century Man, but Jeff didn't like the result and changed it into 21st Century Man, much like he would go back and wipe vocals he didn't like, a la Living Thing. This one had too much to change, so it survived on a different tape. After you mentioned that it was recorded later in the time sessions, I'm not so certain of this anymore because I don't know when each song was recorded. But Jeff was definitely enamored of the chord progression as he kept it for 2 songs. An argument could be made to place the bouncer elsewhere in the track list I made, but you would ultimately be wrong. Placing it where I did gives the album a Terry Gilliam's movie Brazil-like happy wait no not really ending. You have 21st Century Man having the protagonist getting used to the idea that he's going to be in the future for the rest of his life. The bouncer suddenly making it look like he really is going home. And Hold On Tight and Epilogue, letting you know that his return is just a dream. Okay, perhaps that's too depressing of an ending, but it works well that way. EPJ, I disagree with you that this is a rocker. It certainly has that hard sound a rocker should, but the pace is just too slow. It's more of a ballady slow dance number, at least until it changes tempo in the double time swing beat, even though it's still not a rocker, or you have a vastly different definition of rocker than I do. Personally, I do agree with Eric W. that this was best as a B-side, though it should have been released with other time tracks. The aforementioned tempo change rather ruins it for me. Not that I think it's a bad song. A little more polishing would have turned this into a sparkling gem. As it was left on the album because the lyrical content of him returning home was not the ending Jeff wanted. So the bouncer remains where he is. I think it's a rocker. I think it's sort of like maybe a slow burning rocker. Certainly not roll over Beethoven or something like that. But I think it's got the hard drums, the hard guitar. You get he's not doing a nice smooth vocal here. He's doing a rockin' vocal. So even if it isn't moving at like 1,000 miles an hour, I think I consider a rockin' hard rockin' kind of song.
I never considered that part about why it would be called the bouncer, and that's a very good interpretation.
Hmm.
In fact, I think it's better than it's a bouncy song.
Yeah,
So yeah, if you're putting in the concept of time, yeah, it's somebody bouncing around through time like a ping pong ball, or not ping pong, like a pinball, I should say.
right.
Yep. Until something bigger just decides to tilt the Earth and either get that replay or game over. Which I don't think we get the replay this year.
Both don't sound so good for the guy.
Yeah.
I don't think he wants a replay because he doesn't seem to be enjoying himself in the future. I'm sure he
True.
doesn't want it to be game over.
No.
No.
Hey, but if he's in 2095, that means he got through. That means we got through 2020. So that's probably a good thing.
I, you know, yeah, but what happened before 2095? It's you know, things were looking fine for Japan in the 30s. Why don't you go visit them in the mid 40s? Wasn't so good.
Yeah.
And then things got better for Japan.
You
So
mean by the
yeah,
time we had the fourth Trump kid in office?
I I I don't want to. We should just
All of a
move
sudden,
on.
everybody's nightmares just just increased.
Yeah, why don't we just move on from that?
Okay. Yes, let's move on to Jill Chenault, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, I am so with EPJ on this one. Yeah, I can just see the hearts in her eyes. Little Japanese anime thing of hearts popping everywhere there. It's one of my favorite E.L.O. songs of all. I have been known to blast this one at deafening volumes in my mom's van as I bruise my hands while beating out the drums on the steering wheel. How old is Jill?
I think
I know that's not polite to ask a woman's age. I know.
30s, I think.
What?
I think 30s.
Okay, I was about to say, I really hope she's old enough to be writing us if she's driving her mom's van around
Yeah.
and blasting music. So,
Hmm.
um, and it drives me batty when people say it sounds different from the rest of time, that it wouldn't fit in, that wouldn't have fit it. Nothing on time sounds like anything else on time. Okay, very little of it. But Jeff's comment about this one is that he wrote it because time needed a rocker, meaning something a little different, a little livelier than the rest of the album. Should have been there. Should have been that eight side. So sorry, should have been that B side at the very least. As far as the title, I have always assumed that it has not intended to be permanently named the bouncer. Like several songs were initially called Bad Salad, it seems to me that the bouncer was just a placeholder until the song was complete and an actual title was more obvious. In this case, though, rather than being a sad ballad, this one was the bouncy rocker, the bouncer. But when it got dropped, Jeff never got around to officially naming it. And I have never taken it as a clue that our time traveler made it home. I believe the entire conversation in the song is hypothetical. The lyrics, I'd be so glad to be back with you, and that's what I want. I'd be so happy back home. Both say to me that it's all wishful thinking on his part. EW is probably grilling another baby for his dinner right now. Yeah, because if you want those things tender, you have to do at least 5 hours on low heat. But my suggestion is that you also have a good rub because it's all in the rub, and then I do have a choice of sauces.
I would think you'd be a gourmet baby chef, so I could see that all working out.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Maybe this is a dream he's having in 2095, that he's dreaming that he's back home and not that he's actually gone back home. And this one came in about a half hour before we started doing our podcast stuff today. And MJ Folds did get a chance to listen to it. And
Okay.
he said, can't believe Eric W. can't stand it. This is one of my favorite ever E.L.O. songs. Phoned in. They put so much into it. I love the vocals and the great backing vocals as well. I get so excited and happy when it starts up with a great stomping start. I have words for Eric W. You clearly have no soul. Well, I don't think baby eating monsters have souls, so yeah, I'd say that Eric doesn't have a soul.
Hmm. Well, yeah, if you ever see me dance, yeah, definitely. uh, no soul, but definitely Saint Vitus.
There you go.
Yeah, but I didn't say I couldn't stand it. I just didn't say it was something that made me excited. It wasn't a song that made me excited enough to actually hate it either. So it for me, it was just another E.L.O. song, and I can understand why it wasn't included on an album simply because it wasn't of the same quality as everything else.
I can't get
It's
my
not like the jungle.
I can't get my phaser. It's way over there. Otherwise, yeah, I could stun Dookie over there.
Stun Dookie.
Okay,
I think we're done.
I think we're done. I think
I think we're coming to our usual crash and close.
yeah, the usual.
Thunderous
Mm,
train going off the rails and through the top of the building and down onto the street.
yep, now would be a good time for my slide whistle.
Yep.
That's it. All right, we're done here. No, I didn't.
You have not hit stop recording yet.
No, I haven't. I accidentally hit leave.